This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
A very good evening to you and welcome. Mental health is real. Seek help. End the stigma. On the news this evening, Ogoni stakeholders kick against posthumous pardon to Ken Saro-Wiwa. 8 Ogoni leaders. President Tinubu refutes one-party state claims. Rivers community shelves protest over air raid after security meeting. On foreign scene, at least 200 killed in Air India plane crash as one passenger reportedly survived. I am Constance Irele Mega. Late environmental activist Ken Saro-Wiwa and his fellow campaigners, popularly known as the Ogoni Nine, have been granted posthumous presidential pardon decades after their controversial execution in 1995. President Bola Tinubu announced this while addressing the Joint National Assembly on Democracy Day today in Abuja. He also conferred posthumous national awards of Commander of the Order of the Niger, CON, on Saro-Wiwa and Order of the Niger, OON, on the other Ogoni Nine. He also conferred the National Honor of CON on an Ogoni indigene, Ledum Mite.
He was the leader of Ogoni Nine with his fellow travelers, Sunday Dobi, OON, Noduemo, OON, Daniel Boko, OON, Paul Levera, OON, Felix Owete, OON, Babobera, OON, Barian Kobel, OON, John Kupen, OON. I shall also be exercising my prerogative of mercy under the prerogative of mercy to grant these national heroes a full pardon.
Well, Ken Saro-Wiwa, a renowned writer and environmental rights activist, was the face of the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, MOSOP, which campaigned against environmental degradation, particularly the destruction caused by multinational oil companies. Saro-Wiwa accused the Nigerian government and oil companies of perpetrating ecological genocide in Ogoni land, where oil spills, gas flaring, and land pollution had devastated communities and livelihoods. In 1995, during the military regime of General Sani Abacha, Saro-Wiwa and 8 other Ogoni leaders were arrested, tried by a secret military tribunal, and convicted of inciting the murder of 4 Ogoni chiefs, charges widely believed to have been politically motivated. While reacting to this, a human rights activist, Mr. Celestine Akpobari, says Ogoni people want exoneration, not pardon, for Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 others. Akpobari told correspondent Emeko Tuka that Ken Saro-Wiwa and the others committed no crime that should warrant a presidential pardon in the first place. He insists that what the Ogoni people seek is justice and the clearing of their names, not an act of mercy.
We did not ask for pardon. We demanded for exoneration. We only pardon one that committed an offense. In this case, Ken Saro-Wiwa did not commit the offense for which he was murdered for. So we asked for exoneration.
On the posthumous national award conferred on Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 others, Mr. Akpobari urged the president to also recognize the 4 Ogoni martyrs who were killed during the military regime of General Sani Abacha.
For the posthumous honor, I will also ask that the Ogoni 4 be added, because you cannot separate the Ogoni 9 from the Ogoni 4. They are all Ogoni leaders that contributed to the development of Ogoni and were very key actors in a struggle. You can't separate them now that they are dead. I ask that the Ogoni 4 be also given the honor. Let Chief Edward Nnakobani, let Chief Abba Tambaribade, then the 2 Orages, Theophilus Orage and his brother, they should also be given an honor like the Ogoni 9.
Akpobari further called on the president to order a review of the trial that led to the execution of Ken Saro-Wiwa and his colleagues, insisting that anyone found to have played a wrongful role should be brought to justice.
And also ask that Mr. President to direct a review of the kangaroo trial that led to the murder of Ken Saro-Wiwa. And those found guilty should be prosecuted and be made to face the full wrath of the law. Those that committed genocide in Ogoni should be prosecuted according to our laws.
Also, the convener of Ogoni Development Drive, Mr. Solomon Lenu, has described the presidential pardon granted to the late Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 others as a Greek gift driven by ulterior motives. In an interview, Lenu argued that the tribunal, which convicted the Ogoni 9, was not a legitimate court of law, rendering the charges against them null and void. He added that the president should have taken a more holistic approach by directing the Attorney General of the Federation to annul the judgment of the military tribunal rather than opting for a pardon.
A proper exoneration would have been given to Ken, but that was not done because, of course, like I have observed, there is, an ulterior motive, and it is for us not something to celebrate about. Well, for the gesture of the national honors on our leaders, we congratulate them, but then we are equally saying that they should be very vigilant and watchful because this is a Greek gift that has a huge burden attached to it, and we must be very careful.
Well, some Port Harcourt residents applauded the president for the national honors, but criticized the pardon granted to the Ogoni 9. They say the pardon suggests the activists were guilty of the charges that led to their execution in 1995.
I actually welcome the boldness of the president in conferring them with national honors. That is a way of exonerating them. But what I'm not clear about, or what I don't like, is the fact that he granted them pardon. Pardon for what? Is he saying they were guilty of the allegations against them? We don't believe they were guilty of these allegations. So the question of pardon do not come in. If he wants to exonerate them, he should just go ahead and vindicate them.
I thank Mr. President for granting them presidential honors. It's something that we've expected for a long time ago. Of course, we cannot attest to the impact of Ken Saro-Wiwa in Niger Delta, and not just for the Ogoni people and Nigeria as a whole.
For me, that word is not the right word to use because they didn't commit any crime. So using the word pardon them just out of place for me.
In the same vein, President Bola Tinubu also conferred national honors on several prominent Nigerians who played pivotal roles in the struggle for democracy and the actualization of the June 12 mandate. Well, he also posthumously awarded Shehu Musa Yaradua with Nigeria's highest honor, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, GCFR, in recognition of his sacrifices for democratic governance. Other notable posthumous honorees include Professor Humphrey Nwosu, CON, Chairman of the National Electoral Commission during the June 12 election, Bola Ige, CFR, Professor Festus Iyayi, CON, Balarabe Musa, CFR, Pa Alfred Rewani, CFR, and 24 others. Well, among the living recipients are Professor Wole Soyinka, GCON, Professor Olatunji Dare, CON, Bishop Matthew Kuka, CON, Nosa Igiebo, OON, Senator Shehu Sani, CON, Femi Falano, CON, Professor Julius Ihombere, CON, Senator Ame Ebute, CFR, among others. Meanwhile, the presidency has issued a formal apology after wrongly listing 2 living Nigerian icons, Pa Ruben Fashoranti and Dr. Edwin Madunagu, under the posthumous honors category during President Bola Tinubu's Democracy Day speech at the National Assembly. Now, the mix-up, which drew swift public attention and confusion, occurred during the president's televised address today, in which he honored dozens of pro-democracy activists and national figures for their roles in Nigeria's return to democratic governance. In a statement released hours later by Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the government admitted the error and said it was already working to correct it across all State House platforms. Well, still on this, President Bola Tinubu has rubbished claims that his government plans to make Nigeria a one-party state, saying it is not good for the country. Well, he said this while addressing the Joint National Assembly on Democracy Day today in Abuja.
To those who ring the alarm that the APC is intent on a one-party state, I offer you a most personal promise. While your alarm may be as a result of their panic, it rings an error. At no time in the past, nor any instance in the present, and at no future junction, shall I view the notion of one-party state as good for Nigeria. I've never attempted to alter any political party registration with INEC.
The president also said he would neither bother about the crisis in the opposition parties nor help them fix their problems, adding that it was a pleasure to see opposition parties in disarray.
Political parties fearful of members leaving may be better served by examining their internal processes and affairs rather than fearfully conjuring up demons that do not exist. For me, I will not say try your best to put your house in order. I will not help you to do so either. It is indeed a pleasure to witness you in such a disarray. Our efforts must never be to eliminate political competition, but to make that competition salutary to the national well-being.
Well, earlier, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, urged Nigerians to ignore critics who refer to the legislative as a rubber stamp, stressing that intergovernmental collaboration leads to national progress.
History teaches us that nations make the greatest progress when the executive arm that governs us has vision and the legislature guides with wisdom. But they prosper most when both work hand in hand, not as rivals, but as co-stewards of the national trust. In the United States, the Civil Rights Act were all made possible through executive-legislative collaboration. The lesson is very clear. Where governance is in partnership, progress follows. But where governance is a contest, the people suffer. We must renew our national commitment to foster collaboration between.
Well, Senator Akpabio called on President Bola Tinubu to institutionalize the legacy of Nigeria's democratic struggle by establishing a June 12 museum to preserve the stories, artifacts, and sacrifices of the pro-democracy movement. Still to come, Bunu community in Rivers State shelves protest over mistaken air raid after security meeting. Stay tuned. Well, Barango Taria further advised Governor Siminalayi Fubara to safeguard the collective interest of Rivers people in any ongoing political negotiations.
The negative impacts of the state of emergency imposed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have also affected citizens' political participation, lack of accountability leading to corruption. While I urge President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to reinstate Governor Sim Fubara, I wish to admonish my governor to be steadfast, focused, and more calculated. He shouldn't use us, his organic supporters, as a sacrificial lamb on the negotiation table. He shouldn't also see defecting to the APC as an option because APC has no future for Nigeria.
Away from that, the planned protests by residents of Bunu community in Tai local government area to the River State Government House has been called off. The protest was in response to what they described as the state government's alleged insensitivity to their plight following the recent mistaken air raid by the Nigerian Air Force in the community. Well, the decision to cancel the protest came after a security meeting held today between representatives of the Bunu community, the Nigerian Air Force, and the River State government. Well, speaking with our correspondent, Emeka Otuka, the chairman of the Bunu Community Development Committee, Kingsley Kabari, said the Nigerian Air Force has agreed to compensate all residents affected by the incident.
For now, the protests have been suspended. Everything about it has been taken care of. Those that were injured have been taken care of. The Air Force is committing to go further to see to the welfare of other persons so that they can compensate the community adequately.
In another development, the traditional ruler of Okochiri Kingdom, Ateke Tom, says his leadership has curbed illegal oil bunkering in the area. While speaking on Wazobia FM's Community Matters today, he said he has been working closely with security agencies to address the issue as such activities no longer take place in Okochiri.
It happened for our area, but may just for try like this Tantita and put the book for hand. Then come out to begin face the matter for our area, another side too, and try to succeed. Right now, matter of bunkering, I think you know the again. Yeah, we know please. We are going to pursue themselves. So we're going to put us together. They now involve the security too. Would they drag the security very close to us so that they help us to solve the matter.
Well, King Ateke Tom also said he has maintained a good relationship with other traditional rulers, adding that they often come together to share ideas and find solutions to common challenges.
They're very peaceful. Me and them, they're very close, very peaceful. At times they come meet me too when I get a chance to, and they go meet them. If any problem, they will share idea together to make sure they will solve the matter. Closed door meeting with traditional rulers, they're very, very good. Because they get some kind meetings where they will go hold, when they will talk. All these boys will like to fight them, attack them. Also, they're supposed to hold closed door meeting with security people. And without security people, they know if we get peace for that place.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
On the international scene, a London-bound Air India plane carrying 242 people crashed shortly after takeoff in Ahmedabad, Western India. The local police chief over there tells newsmen that 204 bodies have been recovered so far. Now, it is not known how many of those victims were on the plane or were on the ground when the plane crashed. Now, one passenger has survived, with Indian media reporting that he is a British man known as Vishwash Kumar Ramesh. Well, footage from the site shows him walking away from the crash site. Air India says there were 169 Indian nationals, 53 Britons, 7 Portuguese nationals, and 1 Canadian on the flight. Well, that's the news this evening, but before we go, let's take a look at the highlights. You heard that some Ogoni stakeholders have kicked against the posthumous pardon to Ken Saro-Wiwa and other 8 Ogoni leaders. President Bola Tinubu has refuted claims of a one-party state. Bunu community in River State has shelved its protest over a mistaken air raid after a security meeting. And on the foreign scene, at least 200 people have been killed in an Air India plane crash as one British passenger reportedly survives. The news was edited by Martha Okere. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I'm Constance Irele Mega. Thank you so much for listening. Good evening.